Hi everyone, welcome to Autism Connect's Facebook Live. The therapist will be joining us in few seconds. I'll request you all to wait until she joins us. I'll request you all to please stay on the live as we'll be having Sarika ma'am with us in some time. Till that time, I'll just give a small introduction on today's host. So today, Sarika Shrivastava Shah is going to be with us, and she's going to talk on the topic role of a special educator in early intervention. So I'll be just giving a small introduction about who Sarika is. So basically, she's a passionate and creative RCI certified educator with 12 years of experience working with students with autism, a highly regarded professional with demonstrated success in early intervention, maths, and English. So basically, she is a quite experienced educator who is going to talk about her topic, which is role of a special educator in early intervention. So it is going to be a quite interesting live where we'll be asking her a few questions which parents have in their mind, and I have a list of questions which would come in every parent's mind, and we'll be asking her. Sarika ma'am, you need to accept some.
Hi, Trisha.
Yeah.
Trisha, sorry.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. So
Yeah,
back
so I
on time.
already introduced you to the audience.
Oh, great, great, great.
While you were joining, I already introduced you to our lovely audience. So now I just tell, like, now we can start the live.
Wonderful, wonderful, Trisha. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would like you to introduce yourself as well and tell us something more about you, which maybe we have missed it.
So I missed what you said, but I'll just quickly say in few lines that, I'm a special educator and I'm very passionate about working with kids who have autism. I run a blog by the name of Life of a Special Educator. And I really work a lot towards creating awareness about intervention, early intervention in kids with autism. That is what I've been seeing around, where I see that that is one area where we all have to come up and take major roles in creating awareness. And that's why the topic, when you asked, that's the topic that I picked, that role of early intervention. Right. So that's about me, Krisha.
So that's great. So basically, we have few questions from the parents,
Okay.
which we have on our forum. So
Okay.
I'll be asking you some questions like randomly, and then I hope you can answer them all. So the first question, which is from the parents, is who is a special educator and how does a special educator help? Is it only academics or something else also?
Right, right. And that's a very great question to start with, because this 15th we have just launched a campaign about creating awareness about special education. Because trust me, when I go out and somebody asks, like, what's your profession, and I say I'm a special educator, and they like, they're like, what is a special educator? So from that point, and it's fairly new, because when I was taking up this training, I heard about this profession for the first time. So it's okay for the parents to not know what's a special educator. So special educator is nothing, Krisha. She's a teacher. She has to go through her BA training or PG diploma training. The only difference is she'll be studying in how to teach kids with disabilities or special needs. So the B.Ed is entirely designed in such a way where it's some part of counseling, understanding the disabilities. It's very different, but for a layman, you can say it's a B.Ed for to train teachers with teach kids with disabilities. And yeah, this is about special educators. what is a special educator.
And how does a special educator help?
So special educator, the best part about special educator, Krisha, is like if I have 3 students coming to me from the same age group, having the same diagnosis, let's say autism, because we are talking in Autism Connect, let's talk about autism. Now the beauty is all 3 kids will have their own learning style. They will have their own strengths and weaknesses. So a special educator caters lesson plans or academic plans to teach 3 different kids the way they learn them. So for a special educator, the priority is to teach the child the way the child learns and not to teach the way she wants to or he wants to.
Okay.
So that's what is a special educator's main job.
Okay. So is it only for academics? Is also one more question.
Right. Academics is definitely one of the major thing. As I said, it's a teacher's training course. But because we are dealing with special needs here, right? Just having academics doesn't help. A child with autism, when he comes for a session, he might be in a different zone. He might be in a different mood. So there's a lot of behavior that we have to take care. There's a lot of parental counseling that we have to take care. A parental education, training the parents to manage their children. And I believe, Krisha, I mainly believe that the confidence in the child needs to be boosted up. Because our kids with special needs, they don't see success at many places. So I think the major goal should be, to boost their confidence. And once you boost their confidence, they start working. So it's a mix of all.
Yeah. So there is one more question, which is what is early intervention, like as it's mentioned in your topic. So parents also want to know what is early intervention and when do we call it early intervention and how can it help?
So the early intervention in itself is self-explanatory. Early is something that you start early. Intervention is some kind of intervention that you've taken care of. But now how early is that early? Trust me, many places, they start early intervention. So generally what happens, Krisha, the cycle is once a child has got the diagnosis of autism, which is generally between 1.5 to 3, it's not that they don't start early intervention. They start early intervention, but the initial therapists that they visit are occupational therapists, speech therapists, okay? What is missing is visiting a special educator as early as 3 years. So generally, because special educator is linked with academics, parents end up coming to a special educator when they start formal schooling, which is after 5.5. And with autism, it's a strict no-no. Because the child has already started learning concepts. And if not taught in the right way, and especially with autism, it's very tricky. There'll be a lot of unlearning that the special educator needs to do when the child comes at 5 or 7 years. So early intervention, in short, is any intervention that starts from birth, and we call it as it ends till 7 years. And why it is early intervention, Krisha? Because our brain is developing that time. And a special education is not just education, it's a therapy. So there is a lot of rewiring that can be done through the therapy. So that's why it's called as early intervention. And it should be started, if I say about special education, 3 should be a good time where a child with autism should be taken to a special educator.
Okay. So anyways, being early is always beneficial.
100%. 100%.
That's so the next question is why early intervention is important. If we do miss the bus, how can we do course correction?
Right. So I did mention why early intervention is important, because the brain is still fresh, the circuits are getting formed. If you miss the bus, yes, I told you the window is 7 years. If you haven't done anything, not even OT, not even speech, nothing, and then after 7 years or 8 years, you start with a therapy, definitely. Even for laymen to understand, it's going to be a rigid thing that we need to start with. The worst thing happens to me, Krisha, is when parents, they've been doing therapies since the child was diagnosed with autism, like 2.5, 3. They come to me at the age of 10, Krisha. And that is the time they tell me that, Sarika, can you help them build concepts? So that's the time I find it very difficult. It is very difficult. I think that is the time I can't do anything if you've missed the bus, because that's pretty late. So what you can do is, you've been doing therapy since the child was born. Okay, you were late with the special education intervention. You have to go for a more regressive therapy of special education. But that's just an alternative. That's not the best plan. Right? The best plan is start at 3.
Early.
Yeah, start early.
That's great to know that being early is always better than being late. Okay.
Right.
So the next question is, when can we say the child can go to a special educator?
With the diagnosis of autism, everybody should go to the special educator, unless and until the parent is trained in special education. I would recommend that every child should get access to a special educator. So, not
And
an excuse,
how do
everybody.
we assess, and how do we assess whether our kids require a special educator or not?
That's what I said. If the diagnosis is autism and your parents are not trained special educators, you must seek help of a special educator.
Okay. So I'll be going to the next question.
It's like,
Can you
Krisha, to
share
give parents,
examples?
like just to answer your, to give people an imagination. See, when your child is diagnosed, and how do you visit an occupational therapist, right? You cannot say, a parent can't say that, okay, I will see the exercises on YouTube and I will give the occupation therapy. The same is true for special education. You cannot watch videos and train your child, because every child is unique. Yeah. So, you would need to alter the plans as per the child's need. And that only a special educator can do, because she's trained to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Makes
Yeah, sorry, you
sense.
were with your next question.
Yeah, I'll be there. Can you share examples to explain the benefits of starting special ed services at an early age?
Benefits of starting. Oh, that's a good question. That brings us to our point of what we're talking about. So what happens, Krisha? For this, we have to go just understand autism quickly. Uh, in autism, na Krisha, rote learning comes very easy. Now, what is rote learning? In Hindi, we say jo ratta marte. Rote learning or rote learning. Jo ratta marna. That comes very easy. Now, what happens is, many parents come to me for consultation, age of 5 years or 4.5. And they say, ma'am, special education shuru karna hai. Okay, fine, we'll start special education. My son is very good, ma'am. He can say 1 to 100. He can identify all numbers. He's really good at it. I said, great. And then, Krisha, when I ask a vital question, that when I ask your child to give me 5 spoons or set a dining table for 3 people, can he get 3 plates out? And parents say, nahi, ma'am. That is something they can't do. So you see, kids with autism, they are visual learners. They are very good at it. So visually, they can catch so many things. They might even rot, and some even have the skill to repeat what they say. They might even sing shlokas, long shlokas, which a neurotypical child can't do, because that is the gift a child with autism has come with. But the flip side is, because parents are not trained, they cannot catch it, that the concept is not getting built. It is the road part which they are enjoying, and then they come with a shock. Like for myself also, Krisha, I had a first grader coming to me for the first time, and the mother took so much pride in telling me that, Sarika, my son can say myself and we can say everything. And I saw him writing. And when I showed him a picture of a boy, can you hear me? I think there was a call. Yeah. When I showed him the picture of
Good.
a, can you hear me? Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're audible.
I said, when I showed him a picture of a boy and girl, Krisha, he couldn't even say whether it's a boy or girl. So that's rote learning. And that's why I say, when you come to a special educator, that's what she does. Now, the problem with such rote learning is you've been already teaching so much to your child. His head is already filled up with these concepts. Now, if imagine you are that child, when you come to me, I will have to do the unlearning first. The wrong methods that you have learned, I have to unlearn that, make you unlearn that, and then teach you. So already we are missing the window of early intervention. Then I have to spend my time in, unlearning and then make the child learn. So you can see the gap keeps on increasing. So this is one of the benefits of early intervention, I would say, starting with a special ed.
Okay. Okay, so I'll be asking the next question. So what is the
Sure.
difference between a shadow teacher and a special educator?
Right. So there are actually three terms we need to understand. One is shadow teacher, one is a remedial educator, and then another is a my phone in. Trisha, can you hear me now? Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not put my phone in the airplane mode, and that was the problem. Okay. So I was talking about three. There is a remedial educator, there is a special educator, and there's a shadow teacher. I told you who's a special educator, right? She has done her B.Ed or PG diploma, and most probably she is a member of the Rehabilitation Council of India with a license. She's a licensed practitioner. Like I am a licensed practitioner. I have my license from Rehabilitation Council of India. Okay. Then there comes something called as remedial educators. So remedial educators are also trained. They might have taken a diploma course, but it's not a degree course. Okay. And not many have a license for that, right?
Okay.
And the third that comes is a shadow teacher. So a special educator can become a shadow teacher. A remedial educator can become a shadow teacher, but a shadow teacher is not a special educator. A shadow teacher could be anybody who has taken a short course in shadowing the child. And shadow teacher itself says, like, shadow is somebody who will follow you, like how our shadow follows, right? So shadow teacher is generally when I want to take my child to an inclusive setup. My child has some behavioral challenges for which he cannot be taken alone. So that time I will need a shadow teacher, who accompanies the child for every activity. She ensures that the inclusion is done. She ensures that when the teacher is teaching, can she make some adaptations where the child can understand. She is the communicator between, what happened in the school and informing the parents about it. So that's the shadow teacher. But a shadow teacher is not a special educator unless until she is trained for it.
Okay. So basically, shadow teacher is something who like bees with the child and looks after like all about studies and the therapies and all that.
And not just studies, everything, including when the child has entered the school. She is like a shadow for the child. Picking the child from the gate, taking him to the classroom, taking the child for PE, music, everything, Krisha. She'll be like a shadow with the child. That's why the term shadow teacher. Whereas special educator, she takes care of what therapy we give is called as remediation. So we remediate. Okay, so that is the therapy that we give. Where I said, we try to rewire the connections, help them therapeutically build the concepts, which was not easily available for them to learn from the environment. So that's the job of a special educator. So yeah, they are entirely different.
Okay. There's a question in the comment section. I just like to read it out to you. Sagar Gandhi. in the early intervention and special education program, is there any specific program daily schedule to follow? If kid is 7 years old, then 3 to 4 hour daily learning schedule for special education is enough.
Okay. So, Sagar, if a child has diagnosis of autism, schedule any which ways works magic. It's not just needed for education. If your child has a schedule of everything, everything is put in place. It works great for the child because the child can anticipate what is happening next. Now, special education is a very rigorous therapy. Okay? Uh, 3-4 hours daily, depending on what plan you're following. Now, if you're just following special education and the teacher is academically trying to train the child to Sagar for 3 to 4 hours, that will be very difficult. But you have a comprehensive plan where there is an occupational therapist, then you have speech, then you have a special educator, then that 3 to 4 hours makes sense. But you cannot have special education for 3 to 4 hours at a stretch because it's too taxing for the child. The child is doing something which he's not comfortable with. He's not used to that. It's very taxing for the child. So yeah, 3 to 4 hours special ed is not possible. So I hope, Sagar, if that answers your question. But what you can do, Sagar, is generally what I do, Sagar, I generally have a remedial session for 1 hour. Okay. Uh, right. Yes. So I get it. So you're in USA, right? They have their structured classroom, Sagar, if you're talking about. So USA works differently. They have a proper structured classroom, and in that, it's not just special ed happens. In that structured classroom, you have different therapies. Yeah, yeah. I get that. Is that a structured classroom, Sagar? Yes, yes. So USA, they have this structured autism classroom, Sagar. And I was part of one of the structured classroom in Phoenix. And it's a beautiful thing that they run in US. And it's not just special ed, it's a regular school. Yes. Right? So their time is divided. They have their breakfast time, they have their play time, then they have their in-school therapy time. So that's how it works. Whereas in India, it is still not, if you just talk about special ed, then it is not that way. We do have our inclusive schools where we have a similar setup that you're talking about as you have in Kentucky. Does that answer your question, Sagar? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll be then going to our last question. So online or offline session, like there are pros and cons with extra emphasis on what if we don't have a special educator services in our neighborhood.
Right. To give you a brief of this, I'll just take you back just 2 years ago, Trisha. Nobody ever thought that special ed can be taken online. I think it's the gift of pandemic that has come up out of the, like the requirement that your kids are at home. Nothing is happening with them. Special educators had to take some action. And I think that's how our online services started. Frankly speaking, when I was taking my first online service, I was not sure how this was going to work. The only intention is it's been long time. Our kids are just sitting with nobody to guide. Parents are at home, especially with autism. It's very difficult to manage. So with that intention, we started. Now, when we started online, when I started online, I started meeting people from faraway places. So I said, fine, if I'm taking online for somebody who's in my neighborhood, what difference does it make if I take somebody from Kerala or Dubai or Abu Dhabi? And that's how it started. Not sure how it was going to go, but after 2 years, I can very confidently say, Krisha, that it's working beautifully. Why? Because in the online sessions, the parent is sitting with the child. So what I call is parents are my extension. Because I cannot sit with the child, parents are my extension. And what is happening, because the parent is like sitting next to the child, following my directions, working with the child, the parents are getting trained. So there is a double benefit. So parents are getting
to the child.
Yeah, and children are also, they are learning. But I access to good special educators, go physically. Nothing can beat that physical thing. But if you stay in a place where you have no access to special educator, start with an online one. Don't wait. कि अरे मेरे neighborhood में तो नहीं है, जब आएगा, because early, that window, it's important.
Yes.
So yes, definitely. I think there was another question.
There is one question. Shilpa. I just read it out for you.
Yeah, sure.
My daughter had OT speech therapy for 6 months, and finally she started talking, meaning things. Now she has some sensory issues which needs to be addressed. Is it possible? She is 6 now.
So Shilpa, what is possible? What is it? Are you talking about special education being possible at this age? So till the time I wait for Shilpa to answer, what does she mean by is it possible? There's one important thing that her question has brought up in my mind. So Krisha, what happens is generally our kids with autism, they have a speech delay. For many of them, they don't talk.
Yeah.
Now, what is the biggest misconception? Parents think that because they cannot talk, what is the point in academics? But it's not true. It's a misconception. Speech and academics have no connection. They learn perfectly well because of so many visual aids we have, so many flashcards, so many different ways we have from a non-verbal child who seems to be non-verbal till that time to get the concepts, reach them. So parents, if you're listening to me, don't wait for your child. Don't think that, "Arey, abhi to speech nahi develop hua, to how the child can do academic." Okay. So don't wait for that. Did Shilpa see anything?
No, she hasn't yet. But Sagar has a message for you.
Yeah.
He's saying thank you for your help and can we get your social media handles? I'll surely forward you Sarika ma'am's details, Sagar personally on your messenger.
Right. And I'm just typing if you can see the message. It's Sagar under the name of Life of Special Educator on FB, and I am Sarika31 on Insta. And Twitter, I don't use much. And for email, you can just say lifeofaspecialeducator@gmail.com. Right? So Shilpa hasn't answered yet. So I really don't know. Let me read her question again. My daughter had OT and speech therapy for 6 months. And finally, she started talking, meaning things. Now she has some sensory issues which needs to be addressed. Is it possible? She's 6 now. If she has now, if you're talking about sensory issues now, Shilpa, yes, sensory issues can be taken care of. You have to meet an occupational therapist who gives you sensory integration therapies that can be taken care of. Definitely, you'll need some kind of therapy which the OT can prescribe. And if you're saying, irrespective of that, can she start special ed? Yes. You meet any child with autism, make it a mantra. If the child is 3 years, please request that parent to avail a special ed service. It makes a huge difference which we cannot even imagine. In 1 year, you can see the kid going in a different path. Because see, he's understanding, right, Krisha? There's a difference between rote and there is something that you understand and do. And it's like a pyramid. You start making the base strong. When it goes on the top, it becomes easier. So as a special educator, when I have to teach an up and down concept to the child, first 2 concepts might take a lot of time because that circuit is not yet formed. But once the child understands that this is the way I have to learn, these are the ways I've been taught, teaching other concepts becomes easier. So yes, if Shilpa, along with sensory issues, and if she's 6 and you've not yet started special ed, I would request, please go ahead and start. Okay, so Shilpa has given a yes, ma'am. I think that's what her answer question was. right?
Yeah, I hope she got her. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah,
would
I
you
think she
also
got the
like to
answer.
share like what are the, yeah, pros and cons of online and offline sessions?
Pros and cons of online and offline session, as I told you. Uh,
Yeah, pros you got it
there are
like
very few,
it's
yeah,
one.
yeah, there are very few cons. The only cons I see is sometimes, you cannot see, like when a child is writing, okay, you would like to be with the child, shift the book to a particular angle. If the grip is not correct, help the child with a grip, like this is how you can hold it. Sometimes child needs comforting. The child is overwhelmed. So we have to comfort the child so the child can work well. Those things you can't do. You can, of course, try through online and make it fun, because most of the children I have online, I see that they are super excited to come back. Now, why they're super excited to come back, Krisha? Because they love visuals. And now, when you're taking online, many things are through visuals, through videos.
Visuals, yeah.
And you won't believe, I have kids, they work for full attention, and younger kids I'm talking about, for around 45 to 50 minutes for just two things. They get stars on their hand, and after that, they get to watch their favorite teacher. That's the only motivation they have, and they are completely attentive. Sometimes they are more attentive in online sessions compared to physical sessions, because they have to
Yeah.
just see, look at the screen, which they are very comfortable with. And kids with autism, they generally don't like being, close to somebody that much. So this comes as a boon as well. But still, I would recommend in your area, if you have a good special educator, go for the physical sessions, because as I said, the grip and all
Okay.
she can help you with. But if you have
And a
nothing, then
touch,
don't wait
physical touch,
and start.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like even I was that even a physical touch, like you being there and doing stuffs feels different.
right. It does. But
Okay, so those
again, with
were,
kids having autism, yeah, with
yeah,
kids having autism, it doesn't matter much for them. Getting involved, getting them a structure, teaching them, they get motivated, and they are still connected with you. Like, kids have not met personally, I know that when the session is done, they will still ask Sarika teacher. So they know their way of getting connected, you know. So just don't wait for online and offline. Get a good special educator and just start the therapy. That's what I would say.
that's
Yes,
fine.
Krisha.
So all the questions which we had to ask, I like to ask our audience if they have any questions, they can write down in the comment box and we'll be happy to answer them. So we'll just wait for a few
Right.
seconds if
For a
somebody
couple of minutes, yeah.
to
We'll just
ask.
wait.
We'll just wait. Till that time, if you want to share something else about any of your wonderful experience you have had as you are a special educator, so you will be having a lot of kids you will be teaching. So any one of your experience which amazes you, like oh my God, some any of such experience you would like to share with the audience.
Right. Actually, there are many. There are many. Let me think of something. So one that I said as a special educator, what I learned is, when I deal with early intervention, we generally categorize, right? When we say autism, we say that they are, they do not have that emotional connect. They are not socially there. But somehow, when I deal with all my kids, I can see their emotional part. They cannot express, but in their actions, as I said, like in front of it, they will not. There was one parent who said that, I generally start my sessions with some song, like a good morning song or something. And there's this particular boy, he will never sing in front of me. Okay. And she was telling me, the mother, and this is an online session, and she was telling me that Sarika, he is so naughty. When he starts the speech therapy, he sings this song for the speech therapist. So, these are the few gestures
Okay.
that you get from them that fills your bucket, that, they remember you. Like, I get videos from parents
Yeah.
saying that, the child is just sitting and then saying, Sarika teacher. And then, and they've never called you Sarika teacher in front of you. But you get videos where, they are taking your name. And then, it brings back hope that don't wait for them to respond. You know, they are listening. They might not communicate like us because they are a different personality type, Krisha. I don't consider autism as a condition. Though it is treated as a condition, it's a different personality type. So, for example, if you are from a different country, Krisha, and I am an Indian, there will be differences in us in terms of how we have been,
Yeah.
our upbringing is. So, we will have to understand each other. Similarly, they are a different personality type. And what we are trying to do is, because we are in majority, Krisha, we are trying to make them like us. And they don't want that. They are a different personality type. And we need to respect their space. We need to
Yeah.
respect that space for them. So once you start respecting them, you start getting connected with them. So yeah, that is what I would say. And I think there are no questions, Krisha. So I think we are good to go,
Yeah. Yeah. We are good to
right?
go. There are no questions
Right. So
until now.
thank you so
Yeah.
much to you and Autism Connect for giving this opportunity. It was really great, talking with you all. So thank you for this opportunity. Okay.
Even we are thankful for you that you came with us live and answered all the questions. We are really happy to have you on board with us.
Thank you so much. It was a fun experience. Bye, everybody. Have a good evening.
Yeah. Yeah. Bye, everyone. We'll be back again with the new live on Thursday. So, yeah. Bye bye.
Okay. Bye.